We've had 13 federal disasters. That's more than any other state in the history of the country. In the same time, Colorado has gone from like 40th in job creation to 4th. We were 40th in 2010, now we're 4th. Of the top 50 communities for startups, 4 of the top 10 on a per capita basis are in Colorado. Colorado's probably got the second most educated workforce in the country. We have for many years, 8 years, 10 years, been the #1 destination for what they call millennials. I mean, all these great things in Colorado, despite all these tragedies, and yet what everyone wants to talk about is marijuana. More 25 to 34-year-olds move to metropolitan Denver than any city in America. Because of all this in-migration, it means that things like legalizing marijuana get real traction. And as an elected official, you look at something coming down the road like this and you are very cautious. You know, I've always thought the war on drugs was a disaster, right? To send millions of kids to prison, give them felony convictions, in many cases prevent them from getting good jobs for the rest of their life, just was a total failure, one of the worst social policy failures in the history of this country. But I didn't want Colorado to be the test tube for creating a whole new legal system, a whole new system of regulation, of taxation. There's just so much risk involved. So I would have preferred it not to be Colorado, but our voters passed legalizing marijuana by 55 to 45. We, as a state now, have an obligation, not just to the rest of the country, but to the world, to say, all right, can this be done? And can it be done well? Can we do it so we protect kids? Can we make sure that there's sufficient tax revenues? Can we make sure that people aren't driving while high? Almost every elected official I know opposed it. But I think almost every elected official I know is now saying, all right, our voters passed it by a large margin, and we're going to make it work. We're going to regulate it. Just like we do alcohol, with that same level of detail and attention, but we're also going to, try and make it work. A guy a couple months ago in Colorado ate a muffin that had 10 doses of THC in it, right? He had a psychotic event, and he ended up being so high that he totally lost connection with reality, and he shot his wife, who he loved. They hadn't been fighting, they had kids. He killed her. So we now change the law so that you can only put 1 dose in any edible marijuana, whether it's a candy or a muffin or whatever. If, despite our best regulation, we continue to see really negative outcomes, I think that's going to give citizens a second thought. But as the marijuana industry brings up frequently, look at how many people shoot each other when they've been drinking, and we still allow people to drink. We're going to try and create the most rigorous set of regulations and do everything we can to limit the negative consequences. My guess is I don't think anyone's going to be trying to put the genie back in the bottle for a pretty long time. I think it's going to be at least a 10-year or 20-year experiment. And I think other states are going to do it. I think 17 different states that have something on the ballot this fall, either medical or recreational. It's going to get a full voice and a full trial of whether this can be made to work. I have spent a lot of time talking to Attorney General Holder, who I have tremendous respect for. He's very thoughtful, very, very intelligent, and trying to figure out what is the right thing, what's the best thing for the country. My conversations with the president have been along those same lines of, it's against federal law. He is elected to uphold the laws of the land, but he at the same time recognizes that states are the laboratories of democracy and that this is a great experiment, and maybe it deserves a little bit of time to see whether it can be done, and in which case maybe federal law gets changed. People ask, how do we measure up against other states that have had medical marijuana legal for a number of years? We like to think we're doing it better, but we always think we're doing everything better, and we know we're not, really. We're trying to look at other states, right? Washington has legalized recreational marijuana as well as Colorado. They're about 6 months behind us, but we're looking real carefully at how they make the rules, but also what's in the rules. They've watched us very closely. They're going to take our best efforts and they're going to improve them. It's just the way the world works. All those years I was in the restaurant business, I never had a good idea once that the moment I started talking to a friend or one of my partners or a coworker about that idea, it automatically became better. That other person automatically thinks of something I hadn't thought of. They make suggestions, it improves. That's what's going to happen with marijuana regulations. We're going to copy from California. They're going to copy from us. Washington's going to copy from them. It's a feeding frenzy. In terms of the whole marijuana issue, I think often in life you get to a point where there's a tipping point, and Right now, in many social issues, we're seeing that happening. Same-sex marriage, I think, is a good example where if you told anyone 10 years ago, we would be having so many states, making sure that people could get married no matter what their sexual orientation. We would have said it was impossible. But I think marijuana is that same kind of tipping point where this country is changing and we are becoming, in many ways, more tolerant. The direction we're moving is towards more freedom, right? More individual freedom, which probably isn't a bad thing. Anyway, it is an interesting time to be alive.